Hey, good to see you again. The factory sent over the parts that were looking good on the rig. They're being fitted as we speak. Have a look at the report.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Tom and welcome back to a brand new video in episode number 7 of the Mick Schumacher career mode, and we are here for the Canadian Grand Prix after a little bit of a hiatus on this series, just like career mode, due to the issues that I have. But we're finally back, and we're finally back with Mick Schumacher's story in Formula 1, and we're going to jump right into Friday practice, trying to get straight back into the groove. And so far, Mick getting off the bit of a dodgy start, as you can see, hitting the wall of champions there. However, successfully completing the track acclimatization test, and also just getting down to the nitty gritty, trying to get customized to how the car feels once again after such a long time without driving, and overall just trying to get a good feel for the Manor Racing car. Now, as you can see, there is a track that's quite easy to drive on, and it's not a major challenge. It's just a question of very fine margins, and also being a perfectionist when it comes to optimizing lap time, and that's something that you need to really try and get, spot on and work on over the course of the weekend. And so far, as you can see, Mick Schumacher a little bit inconsistent so far, even though he smashes the tyre wear test, no problem. He did have a couple of red laps and a couple of green laps, but overall he managed to get the full 80 points and the 50 resource points in the bag. Now, finally moving into the qualifying test, and this was not an issue whatsoever. A fairly easy one, this track actually, as a good pace so far to really kick off the weekend, as we're now going to move into qualifying, and hopefully Mick Schumacher can try and get himself at least into the top 10. So moving into qualifying, and we're kicking things off with Q1, and so far so good, as Mick Schumacher actually gets a bit of a terrible run through the chicane, as he actually got obstructed a little bit by Kevin Magnussen, but he does come across the line for his first lap in Q1 on the ultra soft tyre for P10, and that would actually be good enough to get him through into Q2 just about, even though by the end of the session it was actually a little bit lower than what he originally expected, as he finished the session down in P14. As you can see there, quite a few people opting for the super soft there in the top 10, but moving into Q2 now and picking up a nice little slipstream from Fernando Alonso on the super soft tyre now, trying to switch it up. This is a tyre that Mick wants to start the race on, because the planned strategy is a one-stop race, trying to do a stop less than everybody else. As you can see on the super soft tyre, coming across the line, thanks to the slipstream, is P8, so inside the top 10. However, there is no time left in the session, so we've got to hope that this lap is good enough, and yes it is. It's good enough for P9, and also the big shock there, Kimi Raikkonen being knocked out in the Ferrari in P12, and also Pascal Wehrlein narrowly missing out in P11 in the other Manor car. Now, moving into Q3, we're going to run aboard now for the entirety of this lap as we now make our way into the first corner, third gear corner, sacrifice the first apex side to get a better run through turn 2, as we now step on the power, trying to get some good traction on the exit as we now approach the chicanes of turns 3 and 4. A little bit of a corner cut through turn 3, but we iron that out through the second part of the chicane, make sure that we don't cut any more corners as we now go flat out through 5 into turn 6, and so far only 2 tenths down in the sector split, not too bad now as we go on the exit of turn 7. Nice bit of traction to propel you down this back straight, and it's crucial that you hit some nice straight line speed as we now prepare ourselves for the braking zone of turn 8 and then turn 9, the double chicane here, right and then left, flicking over the curves. Make sure you don't cut the corner, run it out as wide as you dare, and we're now going to prepare ourselves for the hairpin, the major braking point on this track and the slowest corner on the track here. Second gear, and a little bit of a mistake there as Mick actually gets the tyre on the grass, and even though he's only 2 tenths down, because he got the tyre on the grass, he completely misses his apex at the hairpin, and that's going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second now, opening up the DRS on the back straight. Now you've got to prepare yourself for the braking point of the final chicane and the wall of champions. Now dropping it down to 4th gear for the final chicane, nice and aggressive on the entry, then flicking it left nice and early. A little bit of a tank slapper on the exit, back in trying to step out on him as we now propel ourselves toward the line. DRS wide open, and it's good enough for P8 on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix, and a very disappointing final sector there. Ever since the hairpin and the entry of that corner, it all sort of fell apart the rest of the lap there. So a bit of a scruffy one there from Mick Schumacher, and only P8. However, let's not forget, P8 in a Manor is an absolutely fantastic result, considering the fact that the Manor is the 4th worst car on the grid. So overall, a very solid qualifying session here for Mick Schumacher, with Lewis Hamilton taking pole position in Canada. But we're now going to move into the race for the Canadian Grand Prix. So here we are, it is race day on the Sunday for the Canadian Grand Prix, and Mick Schumacher is going to be looking to try and get himself another points finisher. So far this season, he's scored points in every single race, so it's an incredible record and an incredible achievement in the Manor car, but hopefully he can continue that brilliant form around this track here today, and hopefully in the next race in Austria, because I know Azerbaijan is going to be a dodgy one in terms of AI pace. But as you can see, we're now going to jump into the race and see what happens, and we're going to gear up to the 5 red lights for the Canadian Grand Prix. Here we go, 5 red lights, and it's going to be Lights out and away we go for round 7 of the season, and a pretty good start actually from Mick Schumacher. Vettel getting a really poor start, bogging down quite severely off the line as we now make our way into turn 1 up the inside of a couple of cars. Mick trying to find a little bit of a gap on the track here to try and get past a few cars. Got a couple of Jaguars there trying to start the inside of Mick Schumacher there, but he just about holds them off thanks to some good traction that he gets on the exit of the corner. Now slicing through the field trying to get up the inside of Vettel there, but there's no room through to get past the German, and Mick Schumacher's got to sit behind him for a little while here as we now sit behind the German for a while and see if we can try and pick off a move for it down the inside of the left hand, and no room through there just yet in this race. Got to try and settle into a rhythm here. We've got Danny Kvyat in the Jaguar just behind, looking very racy, and also Carlos Sainz there picking up some slipstream on Mick Schumacher. I'm just going to try and defend a little bit here as Mick now goes into the turns 8 and 9 now, getting some good run through there, and now on the back of Sebastian Vettel. As we approach the hairpin, there's a possibility here for an overtake if possible. We get the car up the inside, and yes we do. Mick Schumacher does up the inside of 3 cars at the hairpin, locking up the right front ever so slightly. Now picking up the traction on the exit side by side with Daniel Ricciardo here on the ultra soft tyre. Side by side, a good battling here. Don't forget Mick is on the super soft, so the traction won't be as good as the others, but the super soft tyre still a very good tyre around this track. And now side by side, look at the straight line speed of the Manor car as we now prepare ourselves for the braking point of the chicane. Ricciardo trying to go around the outside. Fantastic action here as we try to go too wide through the chicane, and Mick just about comes out on top there in that little battle, and he's now behind Lance Stroll. So a battle of youngsters here. Also Verstappen's in there, so you know the average age around 18 years of age here between these 3 guys. But now making our way into turn 2, Ricciardo trying to slide back up the inside of Mick Schumacher, picking up some pretty good traction on the ultra soft tyre now, and I think Ricciardo might have the position there as he brakes nice and late for turn 3, and there we go. Ricciardo takes the place and he goes back up into P5, and Mick has to settle for P6 here. But so far a really good start from the German youngster in the Canadian Grand Prix. And as we move on to the end of lap 2 now, you can see that Ricciardo is behind Stroll. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle here with a few of the cars up ahead, and that's going to allow Mick Schumacher to pick up some slipstream. And look at the speed of the Manor car as he goes to the outside, getting boxed in here between Stroll and Ricciardo, trying to go around the outside of turn 1, but there's no room through as Ricciardo's making a move now on Lance Stroll around the outside. Fantastic action here, and Ricciardo picks up the traction and makes the move on Lance Stroll. There's a good move there from the Honey Badger as we now move on to the end of lap 3, going through the final chicane. Once again the AR's just having a bit of a kerfuffle once again there, and that's going to allow Mick Schumacher to get a good run alongside Lance Stroll in his home race, putting on a good performance here. And we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Surely not. There's contact across the grass goes Mick Schumacher. A little bit of contact there. Obviously no room through for 3 cars, but luckily no one goes for a spin. Nobody's unscathed, and we continue on with the action here as now Mick's trying to line up a move on Ricciardo, but there is no room through as Ricciardo puts his car quite nicely in the defensive position and holds on to P4. So really crazy start to this race, I've got to say. Really kicking off, you know, action all over the track, and now Mick loses the back end out the hairpin on the end of lap 4, and that's going to allow Stroll back through, and also Valtteri Bottas looking very dangerous there in the other Williams car. It's going to be a battle of straight line speed here between the 2 Mercedes powered cars as here comes Mick Schumacher, going to fly past Lance Stroll, even though Stroll has DRS, and going to go up the inside of the chicane, but there's contact, and that actually makes Mick Schumacher straight line the chicane and cut the corner. We're going to look at a replay here because that was a little bit of a controversial incident, because obviously a lot of people thought that Stroll should have had the position back over Mick Schumacher. But looking at the replay, in my opinion, I think Stroll just sort of locks on to Mick Schumacher, and there's basically nowhere that he can go because he's basically full straight ahead. So I think that's a fair move, and it's fair enough that Mick holds on to P5. But let me know in the comments down below what you thought of that particular little incident. But moving on to the end of lap 6 now. Now Mick Schumacher is on the back of his fellow German Nico Rosberg, and here he goes, DRS wide open, going to slide up the inside, and look at the straight line speed difference. Once again, the Manor car working really nicely around this track, and the straight line speed really paying off here as Mick makes a fantastic move on Nico Rosberg, and that gets him up into P4. But now Rosberg wasn't done with the battle just yet, as on the very next lap, the exact same move, Rosberg's going to open up DRS and come up the inside, but can he make the move into the chicane? He's going to go side by side, a massive lock up on the right front from Mick Schumacher, and Rosberg pulls off a nice move up the inside and retakes P4 there. So good move from Nico Rosberg. But looking at replay here, and actually Pascal Wehrlein is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Engine failure for the second Manor car there, so one to keep a lookout for, because that could be a problem that could be on a mixed car, so that could be an issue that we have to watch out for, and maybe the engineer will let him know about that later on in the race, possibly if anything does go wrong. But focusing back on the action in hand now Mick Schumacher with DRS wide open, going to return the favour to Nico Rosberg by flying past him on the back straight and making the move once again with the assistance of DRS, and moving very later on to the very next lap on lap 9, and this little battle here between these two really kicking off, and look at this beautiful camera angles. Now Rosberg now makes a move up the inside of Mick Schumacher side by side into turn 7. Can he make the move? Yes, he does, just about. Very, very close there. The nose is literally almost touching with the rear wing of Nico Rosberg. But a good battle between these two Germans, and just, you know, a really good battle to see for a change. You know, a man battling with a Mercedes, which is not something that you see every single day, but Mick doing the best of a poor situation in regards to the car that he's driving. And as you can see now, DRS is going to become available, and this is going to allow an opportunity for Mick Schumacher to get past Nico Rosberg once again, and that's exactly what he's going to do this time, going towards the outside instead of the inside, and he retakes P3 as Verstappen before, I believe, came in for his first stop of the race. And moving on to lap 10, the very next lap, and now Rosberg once again is going to come back at Mick Schumacher in the exact same place as last lap, going up the inside of turn 7. Is he going to make the move this time? Yes, he does once again, but a beautiful switchback from Mick Schumacher, timed to perfection. However, the back end slips out on him on the exit, which allows Rosberg to get some better straight line speed into the hairpin. Can Mick make a move, a dive up the inside? Yes, he does. Massive lock up on the right front, runs really wide, squeezes Rosberg right out, but he does make the move stick, and he holds on to P3 there, which will then become P2 as I believe someone else up front pit. And at the end of lap 14, Mick Schumacher is coming in for his first stop of the race also, and this should be his one and only stop, and he's going to come on for a soft tyre. So the soft tyre for Mick Schumacher, I believe, in his pit stop, which should take him to the end of the race quite comfortably. And obviously most people around him are going for a 2-stop because they qualified on the ultra soft, so this should be a very good strategy decision here, and hopefully he can split the track a little bit and try and get Mick Schumacher a little bit further up the grid come the end of the race. But as you can see, we've got a car on the right hand side. There's Fernando Alonso, and Mick's going to come out just ahead of him, just on the pit exit there. So crucial that Manor got that time to absolute perfection there, and they come out just ahead of the Spaniard, former double world champion. However, moving on to midway for lap 20, we're going to have a team radio here for Mick Schumacher.
Just so you know, we're getting some strange readings from a couple of the sensors. I don't think you need to be worried, it's just some bad data, so keep doing what you're doing, and I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
So as you can hear, possible problems for Mick Schumacher, and it seems that could be an engine problem like Verlaine had earlier in the race. But meanwhile, Rosberg's trying to have a battle here with the man that's slightly underpowered here. And look at the move here as Mick Schumacher pulls off a beautiful switchback at the hairpin, and it gets the much better traction and outpaces Rosberg down onto the straight. And a good battle between these two, an incredible tussle between these two. And now Rosberg's trying to push the back of Mick Schumacher, almost bump drafting him down the back straight, but it's causing Mick Schumacher to get all unstable on the straight and lose the back end. But he just holds on to P5 and keeps Rosberg behind him for the time being. But like I said, an underpowered Manor here with a few problems like Verlaine had earlier in the race, so we've got to keep an eye out for that. And Mick's trying to manage various issues here, as now Rosberg's going to try and line him up for a move. Once again, Mick squeezing him as much as he can to the inside into turn 7. Going to try and switch back on him once again here, and he does it once again. A beautiful little switch back, good traction on the exit this time. But now Raikkonen just behind is trying to chime in on the party here, and look at Raikkonen, he's going to try and make it through right into the hairpin, but he thinks better of it. However, Mick gets him, he's braking all wrong into the hairpin, completely misses the apex, and Raikkonen and Rosberg both go through, but Raikkonen loses the back end on the exit of the hairpin, which allows Mick back through. And now Mick with DRS wide open is going to try and get past Nico Rosberg, going to the outside this time. Once again, an incredible 3-car scrap in. The battle between Rosberg continues as Mick pulls off the move and makes it up into P4 once again on the end of lap 21, and finally makes the move stick on the German. However, the very next lap Rosberg was not done, and he's going to open up DRS and repay the favour, and here he comes, the German flying past DRS wide open. Also, Kimi Raikkonen with DRS wide open is trying to get in once again, trying to slide up the inside, but he can't make it stick. Rosberg gets all out of shape into the chicane though, which allows Mick Schumacher to switch back on him and get the better traction and a better line and get back past him once again. But look at this, Kimi Raikkonen now making a move, getting really close, hitting the back of Mick Schumacher, and Rosberg going around the outside. There's all sorts of contact, and we're struggling to keep up with the action here. But Rosberg up the inside of Mick Schumacher makes the move just about and holds on to P4. But now Raikkonen's looking very dangerous just behind Mick Schumacher here. So good action so far. Mick's going to try and switch back on Rosberg, picking up the traction on the exit here. Can he make a move into the left-hander here coming up? He's going to go for it, not to let on the brakes. However, it's Kimi Raikkonen who tries to go around the outside and makes the move stick. So Raikkonen, out of nowhere on the super soft tyre, pulls off an incredible move around the outside, and just an incredible amount of grip that the Ferrari has. And we've now got a virtual safety car on lap 25, which is perfect because basically the soft tyres were going off a little bit quicker than what Manor expected. So they decided to fast track Mick Schumacher into the pit lane and come in for a set of super soft tyres. However, this is where the race went wrong because there are no fresh super soft tyres left, and as you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, old super soft tyres get fitted to the car, and this was a massive blow for the race, and it basically means Mick's going to have to do an extra pit stop as soon as the virtual safety car period ends. So this is going to really hurt Mick Schumacher here, and unfortunately the very next lap he had to come in once again and come in for a set of ultra soft tyres and try and stretch those out to the end of the race because there's no more super soft tyres left. So a very disappointing one. I know a lot of you guys in the comments are going to be saying, oh, why didn't he go on to ultra softs just in the first time on the pit stop? But obviously Mano ran the numbers and they weren't sure if that would have gotten to the end or not. But obviously because they've been forced their hand, now they've got no choice. They're going to have to run these tyres to the end of the race. But as you can see, we've got a car on the right hand side. It's actually Stoffel Van Dorn. Can Mick come out ahead of him? Yes, he does, just about, and he holds on to P10. So good news is Mick is still in the points. However, skipping all the way onto lap 34. Now Daniel Ricciardo is out of the race, but Mick Schumacher trying to push as hard as he can. He hasn't been able to overtake anybody. And now look at this, Ricciardo, as you can see on lap 34 out of the race. Let's see what happened to him here. I'm going to expect that maybe something went wrong in the back of the car, and as you can see, all of a sudden, there we go, there's the engine, and it just goes exactly the same as Pascal Wehrlein. So the back of the Red Bull just had too much. The Renault Tacure Power Unit branded car just had too much, and the engine just went pop. But as you can see, I think in lap 35 it's going to be Mick Schumacher coming home for an okay 9th place once again, and continuing the record of scoring points in every single race. But that was a very disappointing result considering where Mick Schumacher has been battling all race long. But sometimes, you know, you get these sort of mistakes, and man, I'm just going to have to take it on the chin, and hopefully Mick Schumacher can take it on the chin as well and bounce back in the next race in Austria, which should be a track that should suit the Manor car quite nicely because of its long straights. But as you can see, looking at the final race results, it's P9 for Mick Schumacher, with Lewis Hamilton winning yet another Canadian Grand Prix, and then Max Verstappen in second, and Nico Rosberg in third place. So, you know, if you look at Rosberg and Raikkonen, that's where possibly Mick Schumacher could have finished. So, there's a lot of points lost there. Fernando Alonso getting a very good 8th place there from McLaren Honda. And looking at the Drivers' Championship, you can see that Mick Schumacher is still holding his place quite comfortably in P5, but he's got Max Verstappen on the exact same amount of points as him, and he's breathing down his neck. And also Max Verstappen is Mick Schumacher's rival, so it's going to be a pretty tricky rivalry to keep a hold of, as Max Verstappen is in a much superior car. But looking finally at constructors, you can see that Manor actually dropped down to P6 as Williams have got more points this race and overtaken the blue and black combo. But overall, that was a Canadian Grand Prix, and hopefully you guys did enjoy it. It was a very hectic race and a very good couple of points for Mick Schumacher, considering he had to do an extra pit stop. But overall, if you did enjoy the video, then a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. And also, if you're new around here, if you can subscribe to my channel, that'd be absolutely fantastic. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video, and hopefully you enjoy the return of this series. And if you did miss any of the previous videos, then click the link in the description down below for the playlist. But nevertheless, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.